Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I'm very grateful to Mr Speaker for granting me this adjournment debate today. COVID-19 has had a serious and detrimental impact on football, from Premier League teams all the way down through the pyramid structure of football. The giants of the game have received much media attention recently, and not all for good reason. I joined with colleagues on all sides of this House in condemning proposals for a new European Super League, and it's one of the reasons why I sought this debate today. But may I start by sharing our deepest condolences with the family of Jordan Banks, a 9-year-old boy who was killed in a tragic incident last night playing football in Blackpool. Our hearts go out to him and to for him and his whole family at this time. That could have been anybody, anywhere. It's a tragic incident, and our thoughts are with them. Football is so much more than just a sport, and it begins at grassroots level. And when we talk about grassroots football, we all need to truly appreciate what that means. Grassroots football is about every park and about every playing field across the UK. It's about giving every club and every individual of all ages and genders who has the desire to be involved in the game the opportunity to do so. Even in the face of financial pressures and the disappointment of not being able to play due to the COVID pandemic, the response from football clubs at all levels has been remarkable. It shows the integral place that clubs play at the heart of our communities, bringing people together and supporting one another on and off the pitch. The FA's latest report on the social health and economic value of grassroots football found that over 14 million people play grassroots football in England alone, which equates to a quarter of the population. It contributes more than 10 billion to society each year, while childhood football participation helps the reduction of over 60,000 cases of depression and anxiety and over 200,000 cases of childhood obesity. Mr Deputy Speaker, the grassroots game as we emerge from the pandemic is uniquely positioned to have a positive impact not only on the nation's mental and physical health, but also our economy. The benefits extend further with the social interactions which will help people to develop that confidence, communication and resilience, the camaraderie, friendship and the values of teamwork, all crucial in helping shape people's identities, supporting emotional well-being and dealing with difficult times. And I want to illustrate that also through the stories, particularly of two local clubs. And I want to take this opportunity to thank all involved in grassroots football clubs in Hounslow and across the country. I know I also do so on behalf of myself and the Honourable Member for Brentford and Isleworth. Mr Speaker, clubs in our constituencies are supported also by Brentford FC Community Sports Trust, which delivered more than 1,000 activity packs to children and families, supported over 100 young carers who were shielding, ran virtual youth clubs and provided mentoring support. Starting in June and in partnership with the Premier League's League Kicks, there will also be a new football development centre which will be delivered at Spring West Academy in Feltham for students from local schools currently receiving free school meals and from low-income families. And in partnership with Bedfont Sports FC, they deliver a girls-only weekly training session. Now, Mr Speaker, in my constituency, clubs include Bedfont Sports FC with Bedfont Eagles in the Isthmian League South Central Division, Hanworth Villa FC in the Combined Counties Premier Division, CB United FC in the Combined Counties Premier Division, Bedfont and Feltham FC in the Combined Counties Division 1, and FC Deportivo Galicia in Combined Counties Division 1. Collectively, they'd be able to support thousands of children and young people playing each year. Everyone from young people, actually all the way up to people in their 60s, are able to join a club and play either on a Saturday or Sunday. This vast array of clubs that we have seen firsthand, all ethnicities, ages and religions playing together in these leagues. We also have the incredible Feltham Bees, supporting football for children and young people with disabilities, run by the incredible Ray Coleman at Spring West Academy. I also want to recognise the amazing leadership that comes from within our communities to help grassroots football. And I want to pay tribute today to Dave Reeder from Bedfont, who passed away, sadly, with COVID in November last year, a legend to whom the community has not yet been able to pay a proper tribute. He gave a lifetime of service in grassroots football, from the local 6 Hounslow Cub Scouts football club in Cranford from 35 years ago to the work with Bedfont Eagles and over the years supporting other clubs, including the Whitton Wanderers and CB United. I spoke to his son Terry last night about his father, who had even won a BBC Unsung Hero award. Over 35 years, he has helped build local grassroots football. Dave and Terry working together, Terry who continues so much of the work today, they've learnt on the ground and working in partnership with the local authority and others. A lease and a chance was what Hounslow Council gave Dave in Bedfont many years ago. And since then, through partnership and sheer hard work, love and commitment, they managed to raise as well over $3 million in partnership with the Football Foundation and others. Around 350 children play each year, and around 5 adult teams see 80 to 100 playing also. The club's seen a partnership with a college for a programme for 16 to 19-year-olds with Kingston College, with the football played at Bedfont. The club even now has dance classes and boxing classes. Over the years, Dave has touched a lot of people and has left a huge legacy. But the issues on the front line have been devastating post-COVID. The impact on children has been a lot more than people have seen. Children suffering mental health issues, becoming reclusive, not wanting to be active, putting on weight. Clubs have described to me the joy of children being able to reunite with their friends and have said how brave they have been. And the first ask from local clubs is about support to help clubs in dealing with the rise of mental health issues. They say they are learning as they go to support each other and their young people, but they aren't trained in mental health and would really appreciate guidance and support on what best to do. I was told the story of one 9-year-old boy so impacted by anxiety and the strain of the pandemic, whose mental health deteriorated so much that he was recently hospitalised. Just recently he came back to the club, but there was a huge impact of a short video from his young teammates saying how much they needed him that gave him a massive boost, and they are working together to support his recovery. As Terry described it to me, he tells the coaches, "You are their second dad." The second issue that is ongoing for so many of our clubs is financial support and the financial consequences of the pandemic. Clubs have been able to benefit from grant support that has been hugely welcomed. Hounslow Council's Thriving Communities Fund has also been vital and has helped with other bits of support, like from the Mayor of London's Laureus project, which has been vital to helping local clubs get through. But they've raised with me the impact and the ongoing impact of having no income for a year. There's the facilities upkeep and other costs, and the worry that now lockdown is ending, these challenges may be put aside as everyone thinks that these things have returned to normal. For clubs to continue to grow and thrive, ongoing strategy and support is going to be needed. And the third issue is the stability of home grounds and places also to play casually. Mr. Speaker, one of my local clubs, started by Frank James and supported daily by Vijay Kumar and other coaches and supporters, has struggled to keep access to its home ground at Green Lanes in Hounslow. My honourable friend, the member for Brentford Knisworth, has said she is saddened about the situation, having, as a councillor, before becoming an MP, helped CB Sports with the lease and subsequent grant application to transform a little-used piece of grass into a fine set of facilities. The club is supported very closely by the Middlesex FA, who have been assisting in efforts to make sure that they have the pitch hire agreement needed to satisfy the conditions of the Combined Counties Football League. The lease for the last few years, however, has been with Hounslow Sports Club, run by Mr. Stephen Hosmer, who have been continuing to put obstacles in the way of an agreement, even though it is a condition of their own lease with Hounslow Council. Hounslow Sports Club, under Mr. Hosmer, have failed to maintain pitches, and shockingly, just 2 weeks ago, Hounslow Sports Club were prosecuted by Thames Water for offences to which they pleaded guilty relating to a legal water connection at the premises and to an offence relating to water fitting that was caused or likely to cause an erroneous measurement of water. Mr. Deputy Speaker, when the ability of children to play football and to be in supportive environments is held back by such behaviours, it is surely unacceptable. I've seen the work of CB United. I have met the young footballers. I've spoken to the parents, and I've seen the devastating impact the situation has had. The drop-off in players because they don't know week to week where their next game or training will be. And for parents trying to plan their complex lives with work, juggling work and home, how they're going to get their children to and from practice and games, it's a really, really difficult and challenging situation. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, stability for play is vital to also help build the relationships that hold clubs together and build family connection and well-being, so often supporting young people going through difficult times to give them the space and the support that they need. And what these stories also show is that local authorities are vital. There's no statutory requirement for local authorities to support grassroots football. Currently, they must provide essential services for their residents. However, sports and recreation facilities and the delivery of community sports services are not a requirement. I may also raise here, and I discussed this previously with the Minister, the side issue of park runs, with families also using local parks for park runs at the weekend that have struggled to get those park runs going as lockdown releases. And I would be grateful for the Minister's response, having had this issue raised by John in my constituency, about what the government's position is on park runs being able to restart. But we must ask also the way to make sure about how local authorities can be better supported to help grassroots football thrive. Hounslow Council developed a welcome local football facility plan in 2019 for pitches, for changing room for pavilions, clubhouses and other priority projects. But this is only deliverable alongside a national strategy and an integrated place-based support plan. We also need a more localised approach to grassroots football that removes barriers to issues such as pitch access for training and fixtures and engagement in the women's game. A localised approach to address the barriers they face and should target increased funding into grassroots football that also helps make sure football remains affordable. Football clubs should never have to call off a game because their regular playing field is overbooked or because they cannot afford the costs of a football pitch. Nor should they be needing to postpone fixtures due to the pitch not being of adequate quality. The popularity of the grassroots game and the need for it is not yet matched by the facilities. Only 1 in 3 grass pitches is of adequate quality, and around 150,000 matches are called off every season due to poor pitch quality. This is what grassroots football needs to ensure that no one and no club gets left behind. Mr. Deputy Speaker, in March I was pleased to attend the launch of the FA's new grassroots football strategy. This is an excellent basis to address some of the challenges that we face. I'm pleased to see the commitment into ensuring pathways into and through the male and female games that includes disability provision with bespoke participation opportunities as needed. Looking ahead to ensure the game thrives, they emphasise not only encouraging new participation at every age group and from historically underrepresented groups, but also harnessing the power of digital to better connect participants to the game they love. It also means ensuring the game is played in a safe, welcoming and inclusive environment, free from racism and discrimination. But on this point, earlier this month, Ian Wright shared a video on social media where he discussed with Alan Shearer the racism he receives as a black ex-footballer and football commentator, showing how important it is to foster a more inclusive environment throughout football. I've heard from young people in my constituency about racism they face, that on occasion has forced them out of clubs, and know it's very much a problem that is still live and there needs to be accountability and action to address it. Indeed, there needs to be leverage and support for those who are victims of racism in order that they are not the ones who have to leave, but those who are the perpetrators of racism have to leave. The Premier League's social media blackout over Bank Holiday weekend was a welcome show of solidarity to those suffering from racism, but we need tangible action, not just symbolism, if this issue is to be tackled effectively, and I would be grateful for the Minister's response on this issue too. In conclusion, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I hope the Minister will join me in celebrating the contribution of grassroots football for millions across our country, the base from which national players are first given the opportunity to play. Volunteers like Dave and Terry Reeder, Ray Coleman, Frank James and Vijay Kumar in my constituency are second to none. But in the challenges they all face, they need greater support to provide the service that our communities need and to support the volunteers that work with them to do so. So I would be grateful for the Minister's response on the issues I've raised, particularly on the extra support and guidance to train volunteers in helping deal with mental health issues, on sustained funding and support post-lockdown, because things won't be returning to normal overnight, and on the delivery of an inclusive national grassroots football strategy, free from discrimination, supporting also local authorities in their key role in working with the FA and the Football Foundation in delivering the opportunities for the game on the ground. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.